dropping right now.
Okay.
It's gonna keep dropping. Yeah.
So anyway, Renee Ashe used to live at the Randolier estate right outside of this cemetery, and he was a boy with many problems. He probably had like gigantism or something like that, because the reports of the day claim that he was huge and mishappen. And a lot of the reports say he was covered from the tip of his head to the tip of his toes with hair. But all the reports agree that he was ugly and that he used to spend all of his time out here in the cemetery playing all by himself. He wasn't welcome after a while to play with the younger children. He started freaking them out. So he was designated to this area, and they started calling it Renee's Playground, and that might be why they decided to put a playground in such a creepy place. We have come by here late at night on our last tour of the ghost hearse tours, because I do those during the week, and those swings are swinging back and forth by themselves. You'll see weird things like that, get weird pictures out here after 11 o'clock. But when Renee was living back here, he didn't have any playground equipment. He just had the tombstones to be his leapfrog partners and the crypts to be the forts. And there used to be a tunnel system under here. Several of the crypts are connected, and some of them are connected to where they check the water levels to see how low they could bury people in certain eras. But they started calling this Renee's Playground, and after he got older, he started displaying a lot of weird habits. Like they started finding the bodies of strangled animals in the places where he played. And then he started following children home from school who would walk by the graveyard late at night. And this kept happening, and they didn't do anything about it for a long time. But people were talking, trying to figure out what could be done about this problem. And then a prostitute was found strangled to death in Foley's Alley. Now that used to be an old dirt road that ran beside the Pirate's House. And the cemetery expanded at that time almost all the way to Foley's Alley. There were giant footprints leading the way towards the direction of the cemetery. And so they decided it was Renee, and they started looking for him. They couldn't find him at first. When they first looked at the cemetery, he was nowhere to be found. But late in the day, somebody thought to look down in those tunnels I mentioned earlier and found him hiding in the shadows. And they dragged him up to the light of day and out to a swamp on the outskirts of town, where they hanged him until he was dead. And then they delivered his lifeless corpse to the widow Randolier, and she had him buried on her estate and given a proper funeral. Now, this was supposed to be the end of it all, but it didn't stop there. About a week later, another woman's body was found in Foley's Alley. And then shortly after that, they found a woman's body strangled to death and left in this very cemetery we're about to go into. And shortly after that, the grave diggers arrived at the front gates, and there lay the body of a 12-year-old girl who'd been strangled just like the others, but this time, once again, they saw the giant footprints leading into the cemetery. Now, instead of thinking, hey, we got the wrong guy, Renee must have been innocent after all, there's another serial killer on the loose with really big feet, and we've gone and, murdered an innocent boy, the people, or at least some of the people, got in their heads that Renee had come back from beyond, bless you, come back from beyond the grave to get his revenge. And so they went out to the Randolier estate in the dead of night, and they dug up the boy's corpse. They put it in a rowboat. They took it out across the Savannah River to Hutchinson Island, and there they burned it and buried the charred remains in ashes not far from where the Weston stands today. And they even had a priest come out and do rites and rituals over it to try to keep it in the ground. All this precaution to try to remove the curse of Renee Ashe Randolier from the city of Savannah, and it kind of sort of worked, because there aren't any more strangulations reported for a really long time, not until the mid-1800s. We were sideways there for a while. Sorry about that. But after that, people started reporting sightings of Renee in this graveyard. And I guess that's why we remembered the name Renee's Playground after all these years. And what they've been describing